Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome back to First Contact Radio. How are you today? Today is the 11th of May, 2016. Right here, our sun sign is in Taurus, and our moon sign is in Cancer at the moment. However, it's going to be making a transition from Cancer to the next sign, Leo, and that transition will take place later this afternoon. We have a void of course going on, starting at 9:50 a.m. Pacific time, that will last until 4:32 p.m. So we're going to hit the last aspects of Cancer as we move into Leo. We'll get to that in a moment. Starting off, Cancer's a water sign, Leo's a fire sign. So we're moving from our emotions and feelings into creativity, ideas. Some of the aspects we've looked at thus far and dealt with since the new day has begun. Shortly after midnight, Sun and the Moon were in a nice trine. Nice positive flow of energy between the emotions, between the emotions and the body, the bringing in that spiritual feeling quality into what's going on with us here. 2:34 a.m. Unexpected changes, square with Uranus. 6:19 a.m. Chiron, the wounded healer, jumped into the mix in a trine with our emotions. We need to look at our emotions because it seems to be the place where healing needs to take place. That's the area right there. Our emotions and the healing, that part of ourselves needs to be healed. 10:50 a.m. we go void of course, and then we're void of course all the way till 4:32 p.m. when we make the transition into Leo. Okay, so when I look at that, what I think of is we might have like a little bit of a emotional bumpy ride, as we're making this transition, because we've just come from a place where we see Chiron here. Chiron was dealing with some healing, is the part that's being healed. So we're dealing with something inside ourselves that already emotionally sensitive. We've had some unexpected ideas and changes and thoughts that we've been dealing with, which played itself out through this healing aspect. And now we're going to kind of take that healing aspect, go void of course until we get to Leo. And anything can happen here because we have all these emotions just sort of hanging there raw. These emotions were the source of the whatever the trauma is we've been dealing with. Maybe something buried deep down that comes to the surface needs to be dealt with, so that by the time we get to this afternoon, we can find a way to channel that into something creative. Okay, that's what Leo's about. So our two signs, Cancer's the charioteer, has the armor on, protecting itself from what's going on with all of the emotions. And then Leo, as we move to it, is all about taming that animal nature. Okay, red, we remember the color of Mars, aggression, passion. So we have to tame that animal nature within ourselves, and we tame it through understanding our purity and the imagination that comes from us. The feminine aspect of ourselves is what tames that male aspect of ourselves, so they work together in nice synchronicity and balance. So we need to find a way to express this creativity and express what we're feeling in a creative way. All right, so that's what we're looking at over the course of this day. Got our wheel here, as always. The moon phase is 29.1% of the way there. Making our way to that full moon, which takes place on the 21st, the day after we go into the next sun sign, which would be Gemini. One thing I failed to mention is we're in a Mercury retrograde. Maybe because we're in a Mercury retrograde, maybe that is why I forgot. Anyway, we're in a Mercury retrograde and we'll be there for like another week, week and a half. So just be aware of that. Jewish calendar, today is 3 Liar. Omer count, day 18, moving into day 19. Daily thought for today, your beast. We all have a beast inside. The point is not to muzzle that animal, but to harness its power. Now, interesting, just to kind of take a look. What do we have here? An animal, a beast inside. Synchronicity with what this is about, right? We all have a beast inside. The point is not to muzzle that animal, but to harness that power. First, you have to determine what sort of animal this is and what can be done with it. A sheep, for example, doesn't care to hurt anyone. An ox, on the other hand, can kick and gore. Did you ever see a sheep plow a field? So it's important to understand all of these have different purposes. So there's a different purpose. So within ourselves, we've got this animal nature that needs to be tamed. And we need to harness that power. And taming is kind of like the harnessing. You're harnessing the power so it can be made more useful. So in this regard, the lion is representative of that source of energy, the Kundalini energy. It's just a name for energy within us that when it is released, it really kind of kicks us into another gear, activates aspects of ourself that need to be activated. So taming the beast, okay? That's what we're looking at today. We're going to tame the beast. Right in the Mayan Oracle, it's the end of a wave spell of the monkey. Today's a jumping off day, the cosmic night. Phrase for today, I endure in order to dream, transcending intuition. I seal the input of abundance with the cosmic tone of presence. Over at Space Weather, solar wind currently at 470.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K index, quiet at the moment with a 1, possibly up to a 3 over the next 24 hours. Not a lot of coronal holes going on here. A few slight ones, will probably feel some effect from there. Our flare possibility has jumped up a little bit. Not much though, 5%. M class, X class 1%. Geomagnetic storm activity looks like in the mid latitudes it's subsiding, dropping 30 down to 25, 15 down to 5. High latitudes looks like it's remaining stable, mainly up as the possibilities of something severe is dropping. Otherwise, everything else seems to be remaining stable. And finally, looking up at the sky tonight, Jupiter strongly red, great red spot will be facing telescope users at nightfall in the eastern and central time zones. It transits Jupiter's central meridian around 10:48 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so there you go. That is our cosmic weather for today. We need to tame the beast within. We need to be aware of this transition going from the emotions into our creativity. Be aware of the void, of course, today, and mostly remember that we're in a Mercury retrograde. Mercury is communication. We kind of want to think about what we're doing before we do it. And even if it's just, a couple of seconds to hesitate before you do something, just to make sure what you're doing is going to be effective. We don't want to lash out in a way that's not going to be effective, but we want to speak our mind. So we want to find, it's kind of like looking at this, what's going to be most effective. Tame the beast within so that we can say what we need to say and not, hurt ourselves. That's basically the important thing during Mercury retrograde times. Okay, so there you have it. That's what's going on there. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today, I have 6 stories. Story number 1, this goes up to the moon and it dates back to Apollo 8's flight when they flew by and they said they saw this opening in the moon. Photo sources come from NASA, as you can see. This is what happens when you get too close to Earth's moon. This is a giant opening into our moon. On the left side, you see a wall that rises several miles. What happened here is what the camera was so close to the moon that the holographic cloak now had glitches. What I mean is that the camera usually takes photos according to shutter speed. The speed can be changed, but today's cameras can take speed of 1 to 1,000th of a second. Other photos show it gone. So this glitch in their cloak was so fast that the human eye could not even notice it, but technology did and recorded it too. So this old Apollo 8 camera probably had the speed of 1/200th of a second or so, but that was enough to record the glitch, true meaning of this opening in the moon. Alright, so play the video here. We could see something, but look at there's another shot of it right there. Interesting. Very interesting. Remember, we've seen a triangle door like this open up in the sun? So I would say if this is a doorway here, then it's quite possible that the triangle that looks the same way in the sun is the same thing. Okay. And just a little bit of a video here. It's 11 minutes. Check the video out. It just shows the same thing I just showed you, the image in the moon. All right, Jaime Maussan claims to have proof that UFOs are real. The well-known journalist and TV personality Jaime Maussan claims to have provided evidence from tens of thousands of people around the world on UFOs and extraterrestrial activity. In the video evidence that UFOs are real on UFO TV recorded during the MUFON Symposium in 2015, he presents recent developments in the field of ufology. He shows video footage and pictures of invisible UFOs taken by infrared cameras, night vision, NASA space probes, satellites, and aircraft cameras. UFOs are captured by space probes of NASA in the sun, comes around comets near volcanoes, and often appears mystery balls in the air. Maussan also disclosed unseen alien images of the world-famous Roswell crash on a major conference on extraterrestrial life in Mexico City last year. The globally recognized UFO expert says the photos provide evidence that aliens exist. Around the time of the UFO crash, there were no sketches or models of aliens, so the pictures cannot be fake. Also, fellow researcher Richard Dolan is sure the photos are authentic. The alien body is too detailed and precise to be made up. All right, well, there you go. There you go. Louisville, Kentucky, making a UFO without making an incredible sound. Awesome UFO sighting, making an incredible sound. Wow. I was watching the night sky with night vision device when I managed to capture a bright object or UFO. When the UFO got close to me, it started to make a sound, and it quit making the sound as soon as it got behind the tree line. I don't think it was a computer problem or anything like that, because you can still hear the background noise when the UFO is making the sound. The most intriguing of this event is that I never heard the noise while I was recording the UFO. I just noticed the sound when I was looking at the videos I recorded that night. Okay. Well, video again is not going to play. I don't know what it is. These daily motion videos don't seem to like to play. Amazing triangle-shaped UFO over Huron, California. There's an object in question right here. It's a triangle, but there is a light back here, so it could be a square. All right, witness reports. Let's just take a look at the video here. I think this was one we looked at yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, this was. All right, this is the one they thought it was the TR3B. Okay, I'm just going to move on from here. Okay, investigative look into the beliefs about UFOs and aliens. A man claimed abducted while he was going back home from work in Arizona about 41 years ago. The man is Travis Walton, who reappeared 5 days after his apparent abduction on November 5th, 1975. Now, an upcoming book, Phenomena, featured Walton and other people that have a connection to several UFO sighting reports. The book offers an investigative look into beliefs of Americans about UFOs and aliens. Danish photographers Tobias Salinas, Mark Hussein, Sarah Galbiate, and Peter Hales Eriksson created it. Galbiate said that they had just had mutual interest in the subject matter. They don't make the project as being believers or how they believe in UFOs, but more on telling the buyers of the book that there was a group of people that believed so much in UFOs and aliens that they saw the world completely different than most individuals. The images of this book were all shot last year in New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada, including Area 51, the highly guarded U.S. Air Force facility located in the remote area near the town of Rachel in Nevada. Galbiati said that all areas that were visited had some meaning or significance, including Phoenix, where a supposed UFO sighting was known as the Phoenix Lights, reported March 13, 1997. Galbiati also revealed that in Denmark or Europe, the thing is taboo. He explained that if people believe in UFOs in these areas, they keep it to themselves. He added that the matter isn't something people go around talking about because the majority will think the individuals who discuss it are mad. However, in America, according to Galbiati, there were more understanding as people respect the beliefs of others. It's almost like a religion wherein people won't judge the believers. Okay, and finally, one more story here. Is there a UFO cover-up? A government insider speaks out. About 6 months ago, our board at UFO Data was privileged to welcome Christopher Mellon as the newest member of our team. Chris spent nearly 20 years in federal government serving in various national security positions. For the first time, he has agreed to speak publicly about his experience within government as they relate to UFOs. It is unusual for a man of Chris's stature to speak openly about UFOs, which gives his statements great weight. His positions during the Clinton and Bush administration involves high clearances. In fact, there are few who have enjoyed such deep and wide-ranging access to compartmented programs in both the Defense Departments and the intelligence community. Chris is the recipient of numerous awards, including the National Reconnaissance Office Gold Medal and the Defense Intelligence Agency's Director's Medal. At DoD, Chris served on a small committee that provided insight of all DoD special access programs in order to eliminate potential waste and duplication. The oversight included visits to Area 51 and other sensitive facilities. He also spent over a decade on the Senate Intelligence Committee, involved in oversight of NRO, CIA, NSA, and other intelligence organizations. He became the first congressional official to review all of NASA's compartmented programs. I wanted to know what Chris had to say about Hillary Clinton's implications that the government may be withholding classified UFO documents. Backed by John Podesta, chairman of her campaign, Clinton had been speaking about the need to go to the bottom of the UFO mystery. Her comments are unprecedented within a presidential campaign. Here is my recent conversation with Chris Mellon, mainly conducted via email, edited only for clarity. When did you first become interested in UFOs? Said I was 7 years old when I saw an old-fashioned amateur movie taken by a friend of our school principal. It showed a huge golden disc-shaped object serenely moving through the sunny blue skies, passing through cumulus clouds in a manner that would be very hard to fake. I have no idea what became of the movie, but it filled me with wonder and awe. I read everything I could get my hands on afterwards and eventually did a research project on UFOs in college for a physics professor. I remained deeply ingrained. Did your colleagues in government know you were interested in UFOs, and were you afraid of being ridiculed? He says, yes, it was something I didn't reveal to colleagues there unless I got to know them well and we became personal friends. Even then, of course, I wasn't a nut about it and certainly was not obsessed. It was simply a subject of great curiosity. It did not come up often. I was focused like a laser on my duties 99.9% of the time. Hillary Clinton has been asked about UFOs during the campaign. As the former Secretary of State, would she likely to know if there were any classified government programs involving UFOs? Answer: no, I don't think so. I recall instances when White House officials sought briefings on highly compartmented DoD programs that were flatly refused. Access to such programs is on a need-to-know basis. In general, nobody outside DoD, including the Secretary of State, is deemed to have a need to know. Officials like Podesta and Secretary Clinton can easily serve for years in senior positions and be avid consumers of classified intelligence analysis, but never obtain access to DoD compartmented programs, which mostly relate to the new weapon systems. Information about such programs rarely leaks because it doesn't circulate, unlike the constant stream of leaked information regarding classified intelligence activities. Okay, now, the other day I mentioned this, about Hillary, and what is this guy saying? Isn't he confirming what I was telling you? And if you talk to others who have spent time studying this field of ufology, I'm sure they'll tell you exactly the same things. Hillary is just a liar. She's not going to tell you anything, but she's going to pretend that you're stupid and think that you are just going to go out and vote for her because she's going to tell you something, and then later she'll find out she can't. So, do you think if the Clinton is elected we can expect to learn more? Again, I highly doubt DoD or any government agency is concealing UFO information. Participated in a comprehensive review of DoD's black programs and spent over a decade conducting oversight into the National Foreign Intelligence Program, an almost totally separate world of secrets. I visited Area 51 and military intelligence and research facilities. During those years, I never detected the faintest hint of government interest and involvement in UFOs. All right, see, there's a lot more articles here or questions and answers. I'm going to leave that for you. Some of what he says makes sense, but then when he gets into the government's showing no interest, we know that there has been interest, so have to take with a grain of salt then what is being said there. Because when we go to Roswell, what do we know? Military showed up to pick up the craft. Where is Area 51? On a military base. What do we see and hear about Area 51? Lots of UFO activity taking place there. So he's speaking on one hand about information that he claims to know, but then he's denying that the agencies that are out there that we know that are investigating things have no interest in these things that they are investigating. So it makes no sense to me. Maybe it does to somebody else, but not me. That's it. I'll be right back. We'll continue on.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, we're back. So before I get on, I know that you're going to see the story today. I told you about those cadets. You've heard about the cadets. Well, apparently they're not going to be disciplined for their behavior. So there you have it, folks. All it took was a matter of 16 cadets to show support to a racist organization, and now West Point, an institution that had a long history of success, has now tarnished its reputation and fallen wayside as another politically correct organization. I wouldn't trust a thing out of West Point at this point in time because they've just shown that they have no respect for America or Americans, and I'm not going to continue on with that. It's just disappointment because at one point they were one of those you thought were the good guys, and now you find out they're not. They're not. So, very disappointing. Very disappointing. All right. Moving from there. Story here. Meet Planet X, the killer giant lurking at the edge of the solar system. All right. Now, this is an artist impression. Okay, so we got the story of Planet X, but we don't get a real picture. We only get an artist impression here. Solar system is a pretty exclusive club. Fewer than 10 planets have ever been admitted to the collection of celestial bodies that make up Earth's little neck of the galactic woods. Famously, in 2006, the most recently discovered member, sweet, icy little Pluto, was controversially demoted from the roster and downgraded to a mere dwarf planet, leaving us with a mere 8 in our circle. Now it looks like we might actually have a new contender to fill the Plutonian void. The science world has been tizzy over the proposed existence of a previously unknown planet located at the far-flung edge of our solar system. It is being called Planet 9, or more mysteriously, Planet X, and it's a big one. Potentially 10 times more massive than Earth, its existence would explain the behavior of a group of icy objects moving through the Kuiper Belt, a region beyond Neptune. And if Planet X is actually out there, the newly discovered orb would take 20,000 years to complete a single trip around the Sun. But can Planet X really be as cool as our last ninth, Pluto? While Venus enjoys a more romantic, mythological moniker, only Pluto can lay claim to an actual heart within its terrain. Pluto was there for us through the Second World War, the Cola Wars, Ken Burns' Civil War, and humanity's first forays into space. It was the namesake for Mickey Mouse's dog, and is thought to be connected to H.P. Lovecraft's Yugoth, a fictional character planet from his 1931 story, The Whisperer in the Darkness. And don't forget about the dark area along Pluto's equator, now dubbed Cthulhu Regio, after the author's most famous creation. It's a hard act to follow. At least initially, though, it looked good for the possible ninth planet. Both science and the hype are shaping up rather nicely. For one thing, Planet X is likely to stay in the headlines as conspiracy theorists, controversy, and end-time predictions have been spun off its proposition. The New York Post, for example, called it the killer planet. Okay. So, I want to just show you something here. This is supposed to be Pluto. Okay. This image here is Pluto, but what I want you to look at right here. Look at right here. What do you see? Does it seem kind of weird? Look at this for a minute. What do you see right here? If we were to trace an outline right here, what do you see? No? Figured it out yet? It's an image of Pluto from Walt Disney. Look at it now. Now you see it? An image of Pluto from Walt Disney. How did an image of Pluto get up on Pluto? Huh. Bizarre. Bizarre. What do you think? I think I know the answer. I think you know the answer. But we'll continue. We'll move on. So now here's a story. This is from space.com. It says NASA finds 1,284 alien planets, the biggest haul yet. with Kepler's space telescope. The number of known alien planets has just gone up by more than 60%. NASA's Kepler Space Telescope has discovered 1,284 new exoplanets, including the 9 rocky worlds that might be capable of supporting life as we know it. Astronomers announced yesterday, May 10th, that this is by far the largest haul of alien planets ever unveiled at a time. The total exoplanet tally now stands at 3,200, and Kepler found 2,235 of them, NASA officials said. We now know that exoplanets are common. Most stars in our galaxy have planetary systems, and a reasonable fraction of stars in our galaxy have potentially habitable planets. Paul Hertz, Astrophysics Division Director at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., said during a news conference today, knowing this was the first step towards addressing the question, are we alone in the universe? Indeed, data gathered by Kepler and other instruments suggested about 25% of all the normal stars in the Milky Way harbor enough Earth-sized planets in their habitable zones that just right range of distances at liquid water can exist in a world's surface. There are at least 70 million main sequence stars in the galaxy, and Kepler's mission scientist Natalie Batalha of NASA's Ames Research Center. You can see, doing the math, you're talking about tens of billions of potentially habitable Earth-sized planets out there in the galaxy. Okay, so, wow. 1,284 planets. That's a lot of planets. Those graphic artists over at NASA must have been busy for a while to make all of those. Because you know the Kepler's not out there actually taking pictures, right? You know it's not doing that. It's supposed to be sending back data, which then computers are taking that information and relating it to something. But as we know, computers can be programmed really to do whatever you want them to do. So they may be sending back data, if indeed that is actually up there, flying around as they say it is. And here we have now a new 1,284. So NASA, the agency that keeps, at times told us there's nothing more out there. Now they keep discovering more, and it just goes to show they don't really know what they're talking about. They really don't know themselves. So no wonder never a straight answer seems to be the acronym for who and what they are. All right, yesterday I talked a little bit about the brain. Here's some more information about the brain. It says scientists create neural dust that will connect man to machine. This article goes back to 2013. It says researchers at the University of Berkeley have suggested implanting mind-reading neural dust into human brains to facilitate connectivity of man to machine. If this dust was sprinkled into the human brain, it could form an implantable neural interface system that remains viable for a lifetime. The dust would consist of particles of no more than 100 micrometers across and would be millions of sensors capable of measuring electrical activity in neurons within the brain. According to the paper, these sensors could be attached to the tips of the fine wire arrays and could be inserted directly into brain tissue. This would enable a human brain-machine interface and create mechanical telepathy. Scientists at Massachusetts Institute of Technology explained that each particle of neural dust contains the standard CMOS circuits and sensors that measures the electrical activity in neurons nearby. This is coupled to a piezoelectric material that converts the high ultra-frequency waves into electrical signals and vice versa. In essence, the neural dust would work much like an RFID system, as well as store data from the neural net outside of the body, which would be accessed at a later date. Okay, so neural dust. Now, I'm sure that if we think about what has happened since 2013, when this came out, we've had the DARPA program studying the brain has come out, and they want to map the brain. They want to take one of these brains that they've mapped and they want to put it into these robots they're creating. Most Americans, most people that are using iPhones and telephones with things like Siri on there that are using this artificial intelligence. They're actually helping to feed these brains that are out there, this intelligence, because everyone that's asking a question, it's all feeding into one system. So we're all kind of helping to feed this beast, which for so long we've been concerned with this technology taking over, but we continue to feed the beast, continue to feed the technology, not really knowing what might happen. So it'll be interesting to see. But there's definitely an interest of connecting man and machine. This one goes back 3 years. So if it's gone back 3 years and we're just hearing about this, chances are it's being used in much greater capacity in other ways that we are not knowing about and not being hearing because nothing's being written about it. All right, here's from Ancient Origins. It says they're alive. Megalithic sites are more than just stone. It doesn't take much to stimulate the human body's electromagnetic circuitry. In fact, a small change in the local environment is enough to create a change in awareness. People who visit ancient sites and megalithic sites often describe such a sensation. The standard explanation is that such feelings are nothing more than a wow factor, the result of visual stimuli from the overwhelming impression generated by megalithic constructions such as stone circles, ancient temples, and pyramids. But the cumulative evidence provides otherwise. The megaliths and other ancient sacred places are actually attracting, storing, and even generating their own energy field, creating a kind of environment where one can enter an altered state of consciousness. In 1983, a comprehensive study was undertaken by engineer Charles Brooker to locate magnetism at sacred sites. The test subject was a Rollright stone circle in England. A magnetometer survey of the site revealed how a band of magnetic force is attracted to the stone circle through the narrow gap of stones that act as the entrance. The band spirals towards the center of the circle as through descending down a rabbit hole. Two of the circle's western stones were also found to pulsate with concentric rings of alternating current, resembling ripples in a pond. This analysis led Brooker to state how the average intensity of the geomagnetic field within the circles was significantly lower than measured outside, as if the stones acted as a shield. Such discoveries help us decipher what the ancients were up to when they built the megalithic structures. At the Temple of Edfu in Egypt, there is a wall featuring what amounts to a recipe for establishing a space that differs energetically from its surrounding landscapes. A temple. The instructions describe how certain creator gods first established the mound and pierced the snake to the spot, whereupon a special force of nature impregnated the mound, which led to the construction of the physical temple. A symbol of the serpent has always been a culturally shared metaphor of the Earth's meandering lines of force that scientists refer as telluric currents. Controlling the laws of nature, it seems that ancient architects had a fine degree of control of the laws of nature because of a recent study of energy fields in and around Avebury, the world's largest stone circle. It shows that megaliths are designed to attract a ground current into the site. Electrodes planted at Avebury revealed how its circular ditch breaks the transmission of telluric ground current and conducts electricity into the ditch, in effect concentrating energy and releasing it to the entrance of the site, sometimes at double the rate of the surrounding land. Magnetic readings at Avebury die away at night by the far greater level than can be accounted for under the natural circumstances. They change back at sunrise, with the ground telluric current from surrounding land attracted to the hedge, just as magnetic fluctuations of the site reach their maximum. Studies conducted by the late physicist John Burst also discovered how the stones of Avebury are deliberately placed in a line so as to focus electromagnetic currents to flow in the premeditated direction, using an identical principle to modern atomic particle colliders, in which airborne ions are steered in one direction. The effect of sacred sites behaving like concentrators of electromagnetic energy is enhanced by the choice of stone. Often moved across enormous distance, the stone used in megalithic sites contains substantial amounts of magnetite. The combination makes temples behave like weak, albeit huge magnets. This has a profound influence on the human body, particularly the dissolved iron that flows in blood vessels, not to mention the millions of particles of magnetite floating inside the skull and the pineal gland, which itself is highly sensitive to geomagnetic fields and whose stimulation begins the production of chemicals such as pinealine and serotonin, which in turn leads to the creation of hallucinogen DMT. In an environment where geomagnetic field intensity is decreased, people are known to experience psychic and shamanic states. An exhaustive investigation into the Carnac region of France, where some 80,000 megaliths are concentrated, reveals a similar spiritual technology at work. At first, a leading researcher, electrical engineer Pierre Marot, was skeptical that megalithic sites possessed any special powers. Marot's study of Karnak shows how its dolmens amplify and release telluric energy throughout the day, and the strongest readings occurring at dawn. The voltage of magnetic variations are related and follow a phenomenon known as electric induction. According to Marot, the dolmen behaves like a coil or solenoid in which the currents are induced, provoked by the variations, weaker or stronger, of the surrounding magnetic field. But the phenomena are not produced with any intensity unless the dolmen is constructed with crystalline rocks rich in quartz, such as granite. His readings of Menons reveal that the energy that pulsates at regular intervals at the base, positively and negatively charged, up to 36 feet from these upright monoliths, some of which still show carvings of serpents. Extreme pulsations recycle approximately every 70 minutes, showing that the mehers charge and discharge regularly. Marot also noticed that the voltage of standing stones in the grand manic alignment diminished the further away they lay from the stone circle, which itself behaved like a kind of condenser or concentrator of energy. The composition of the stones and their ability to conduct energy was not lost on Marot and others. Being very high in quartz, the special chosen rocks are piezoelectric, which is to say they generate electricity which is compressed or subjected to vibrations. The megaliths of Karnak, positioned as they are upon 31 fractures of the most active earthquake zone in France, are the constant state of vibration, making the stones electromagnetically active. This demonstrates that the mehers were not planned on this location by chance, the particular as were transported from 60 miles away, because their presence and orientation is in direct relationship to the terrestrial magnetism. All right, only a little bit more here. Ancient mystery traditions around the world share one particular aspect. They maintain how certain places in the face of the earth possess a higher concentration of power than others. These sites, named spots of the fawn by the Hopi, eventually became the foundation for sacred sites and temple structures we see today. What is interesting is that each culture maintains that these special places are connected with the heavens by a hollow tube or reed, and by the umbilical cord the soul is capable of engaging with the other world during ritual. However, it also follows a conduit for the spirit to enter the physical domain. In 2008, NASA may have unwittingly proved this observation to be true when it published details of an investigation into FTEs, or flux transfer events, in which this organization describes how the Earth is linked by the Sun by a network of magnetic portals which open every 8 minutes. Such discoveries help to validate the scientific eye, the long-held belief by sensitives and dowsers since the recording of history that megalithic sites and ancient temples are places set aside from the normal world where a person can connect with locations far beyond his planetary sphere. Certainly, the ancient Egyptian priests regarded the temples as far more than a conglomerate of dead stones. Every dawn, they awakened each room with orations, treating the temple as a living organism that sleeps at night and awakens at dawn. All right, interesting article about energy of nature and stones and so on and so on. All right, very good. So we all know that when we go to these sites, there's certainly a lot of energy. Places I've been to, I've felt that energy. I'm sure you've been to places where you felt it too. So we understand this happens. All right, switching gears to health. One of the controversial healing treatments is the use of cannabis oil. Cannabis oil. And it has had some tremendous effects in healing. Cancer is one of the things that it had a great effect on. But autism is something that is being cured right here. It says an autistic boy gains the ability to speak after just 2 days of cannabis oil treatment. At 10 months of age, Kalel Santiago of Puerto Rico was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer called neuroblastoma. He endured chemotherapy, radiation treatments, and surgery for 2 years and survived. And then he was diagnosed with something permanent, severe autism that disabled him from speaking. While he was in the hospital, we noticed he didn't speak at all and had some behavior that wasn't right, like hand flapping and walking on his toes. His father, Abil Gomez Santiago, told UFO Yahoo News, but we waited until it was 3 and cancer-free to look up his behavior. According to Yahoo, he and his wife Gladys, also parents of 2 older boys, now 18 and 20, did a cram course in educating themselves on autism. They tried various schools and therapies and eventually found impressive success with a unique surf therapy school near their home. Eventually, the Santiago family stumbled upon a treatment of real potency and potential, CBD oil. Through a fundraising program, they were able to receive a tiny bottle of the oil. Kalel was given oral doses twice a day. Within just 2 days, he was finally able to speak. He surprised us in school by saying the vowels A-E-I-O-U. It was the first time ever. Abil said, "You can imagine the emotion we had hearing Khalil's voice for the first time. It was amazing." The teacher recorded him and sent it to my wife and me, and we said, well, the only different thing we've been doing is using CBD. Soon after, he began using consonants too, speaking like his parents never thought possible. He said, "Amio mi mama." I love you, my mom. Abil says, "I don't know how to thank you, the CBD oil makers." Khalil's story is yet another piece of evidence piling on the mountain of support for cannabis oil and full marijuana legalization. So, again, another reason to consider something like this. But the pharmaceutical company doesn't really want you to know about this. Why? Because there's no money in the cure. So if this is a cure, it's not going to be a very good money maker for the pharmaceutical company, because anybody could go out and essentially make this themselves by simply growing it in their own yards. And that is certainly something that would put a dent in the pocketbook of the pharmaceutical companies. But what we're finding out is there are many, many uses for something as cannabis. Many, many, many uses, from oils to foods to nutritional supplements to healing properties, as we see right here, clothing, on and on and on. You know, on and on and on. I always like to think back to Garden of Eden. We're told that God made the green herb of the field. It mentions that he made the herb-bearing seed. And so we know that marijuana, cannabis, is within this, within what he's discussing, within what he created. And then it was obviously so important that after man was created, first thing that man was told by God in the book of Genesis is that God created the herbs. God created the herb-bearing, the seed-bearing herbs. And so obviously it was important. And as we look at this plant, we see with all of the uses available, it's like one of these miracle plants that could do a lot of things for a lot of people. Just imagine if we were using something like this on a more regular basis for people that were sick. Maybe we might not have so many sick people. I've read numerous stories, people with cancer. They rub this on their cancer spots. A couple days later, the cancer spots are gone. Over and over and over. Look up online, cannabis oil healing cancer, and see what you'll find. You'll find a lot of information out there. So it's important that we understand that there are many options available to us in treating and healing disease upon this planet. And it doesn't have to be the pharmaceutical way, because all they want to do is get you hooked so you keep paying money to them and never find the actual cure. Because if you find the cure, you stop paying them, and they don't want that. They want you to keep paying them money, and people just want to get healed. They don't want to keep paying money. 11 reasons to meditate daily. Here's a short list of benefits that come to you from daily meditation practice. 1, your life becomes significantly more clearer and calm. 2, your blood pressure is lowered. Science has proven that meditation lowers the blood pressure, which in turn is related to your stress levels. 3, people around you enjoy your company. This leads to higher positive energy from meditation that you are constantly tapping into. This effectively makes you more pleasant to be around. 4, your connection with God is strengthened. Spiritual awareness is strengthened with the daily meditation practice. You naturally become more aware of your surroundings. The higher awareness always leads to a deeper connection with God. The trees begin showing personalities, the landscapes take on different meanings, all through deeper awareness. 5, you achieve several hours of sleep in 20-minute meditation session. Another scientific fact is that meditation is known to put you into a deeper state of rest than deep sleep. Deep sleep is associated with delta brainwave. Deep meditation can drop you into that delta brainwave rapidly, achieving the effects in a shorter amount of time. 6, problems that seem very difficult suddenly have clear solutions. For every problem, a solution exists. When your mind is clear and you're in a state of peace, solutions appear. Being in a state of peace just naturally attracts solutions and pathways into your field of view. 7, your productivity skyrockets because of your ability to have clear focus. If solutions to problems appear more frequently when meditating daily, then imagine what happens to your everyday tasks. Solutions to your everyday life become more and more obvious, and you begin to take note of these subtle changes as your spiritual vision grows clearer and wider. 8, life expectancy increases. Science has shown that regular meditation will increase your life expectancy. Pretty obvious to see. Less stress, more peace promotes healthy cells, and healthy cells regenerate healthier cells. 9, you effectively reduce stress in your life. Speaking of stress, meditation has a profound effect on reducing stress in your body. Because meditation promotes peace and inner calm, stress dissolves dramatically from this meditative process. Again, science has proven it. 10, you can visualize powerfully when combined with positive affirmations and meditation. Meditation is powerful at clearing the mind and focusing on simple things like breathing or a flower. But it can be used for so much more. To powerfully manifest your desires, you must get into clear connection with the source of manifesting. If your spirits are on high while you visualize, then the communication channel for manifesting positive events in your life is strengthened. And 11, you feel fantastic throughout the day. Finally, when you meditate on a regular basis, you just feel fantastic. Plain and simple, you feel good. Everything else is details. All right, so there's 11 good reasons. 11 reasons that can be added to why we do meditation on this show each and every day. You know, part of my philosophy is that rather than just presenting you with a problem, I want to present you with the problem and a solution. The solution we find comes from when we take time to look into ourselves and find a spiritual solution to the problem. Meditation does that. When I do a show every day and I show you all the different things in the world, sometimes it can be troublesome to the mind to hear all of these challenges or conspiracies or problems that are taking place in the world. A person can be very daunted or depressed at times or overwhelmed by all of this. But if we just simply look at that as issues to be dealt with, and then we continue to work on ourselves and do things like meditation, we find solutions to these problems. If more of us across this planet actually took time to do something like this, we'd find solutions to our problems rather than the way we do them right now, which is just through anger and aggression. We seem to go back and forth between those emotions, and that really hadn't gotten us too many places. Look at the world these days. Look how much anger is in there. People don't even have an awareness of their anger. I mean, just think in terms of all the protests you're seeing going on right now. How many times have you seen protesters holding up signs that saying "Stop the hate," while at the same time cussing people out that are walking by? People they don't know, just for no reason. Stop the hate, and then they're cussing at them. So people are confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to stop the hate. They don't even realize they're spewing hate, and that's part of the issue. We have to stop take a pause for the cause, go inside of ourselves, and figure out that we're connected to this planet in a different way than we realize. And when we realize that spiritual connection we have to things, it'll be a game changer. Right now, people are still toying with that idea. They're not so sure about it. But we are getting more and more results each and every day because there is positive things happening from the positive people that are doing things. And remember, it just takes one person to make a great deal of change. So when you have two, three, four, five, 10, 100, 1,000, a million, you amplify that change by that much more. So that's what we're going for, positive change, but we have to connect into the source. And as long as we're distant from the source, we're not going to be able to connect in properly, and that is the problem. All right, channeled message for today.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message Tuesday, May 10th, 2016 by Shelley Young. In these fast, forward-moving energies,
Okay. Aha, it got stuck. Let me do a refresh here and see if we can maybe take another run at this. See what happens here.
Archangel Gabriel Daily Message Tuesday, May 10th, 2016 by Shelley Young. In these fast, forward-moving energies, as the planet and her inhabitants continue to evolve, anything that involves giving your power away is no longer supported. The energy has been withdrawn from supporting victim consciousness of any sort. This means relationships that don't honor you, ways that you don't honor yourself, addictions, old belief systems, anything that keeps you stuck will be spotlighted for you to heal, release, or transform once and for all. This is a good thing. This means that keeping yourself small and denying your own authentic power is no longer an option. The universe, along with the assistance of your guides, helpers, and your own deepest desires, is lovingly pushing you forward to see the truth of your own glorious capability to heal, create, and reach your greatest potentials. From a soul perspective, this is a wondrous time, where the illusions of weakness are finally dropping away, and being replaced with your truth and authenticity. Well done, dear ones, well done. Archangel Gabriel.
Okay, we made it through. We made it through. All right. And finally, we're going to do our meditation for today. Our chance to be able to do these 11 things. Connect. We have to connect, you know. Ever since we've studied and gone over the Nag Hammadi library and we understand the story of Yaldabaoth, doesn't it put into perspective a few things? Because what happened with Yaldabaoth? Yaldabaoth was thrown out of the kingdom. He was thrown out of where he was, the immortal realms, and there was a veil put up. Yaldabaoth didn't know who his father was. He didn't understand the creative source that flowed through to him. He thought he was it. Well, now we're in a situation in life where that's the exact challenge we're going through. That God is being removed from the equation and we're being taught to look away from God in the same way. And even though we've been shown, just like Yaldabaoth was, that there is a God, there is a divine essence that flows through us, Yaldabaoth became arrogant when he found that out, just like many Americans and people across this entire planet have become arrogant. And that's the problem, because in that arrogance now there's many rebelling against what God is about, rebelling against that source, and that's the problem. So by doing these meditations, we're reconnecting with the source that flows through us. And once we connect through the source, well, it's like being plugged into an electrical socket. You're now operating more fully because you're now charged with the actual essence of all that is flowing through you. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now, let's imagine ourselves sitting in the midst of a whirlwind of chaos. And we see all of this chaos happening all across the land. And as we see this chaos happening through the land and we feel the intensity of it, we find ourselves caught up in it emotionally, physically, mentally. And so we close our eyes as a last resort and we go inside. And when we go inside, we shut ourselves off from the chaos that is happening around. And we see this source that flows through us, that connects us to these higher immortal realms. And as we experience this source, we feel calmer. We feel at peace and at ease. And we know that no matter what problems are occurring in the physical reality, that all of those problems can be healed and overcome simply by connecting with this source within. So let's imagine ourselves now opening our eyes after connecting to this source and looking at the world, and we see the world in a different way. We're aware that the chaos still exists, but it no longer affects us because we're able to float and move through the energy as if this energy does not have the same effect on us it once did. And we understand that the more we connect ourselves to the source of all, the more we're able to be more effective in life. So Heavenly Mother and Father, thank you for the blessings of your divine essence that flows and emanates forth from you into all life. Thank you for the blessings of the Christ, light that shines through each of us, and the opportunities we have this day to make positive changes not only in our lives, but in the lives of all of those we meet, see, and communicate with. So let's let the subconscious mind continue on the journey, moving through the chaos, peacefully and calmly, unaffected. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. All right, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you very, very much for being here. Take time just to connect in with today. Remember, we're dealing with a void, of course, as we're coming out of an emotional time, and then we're going into a creative time. But we have to tame that beast within. We have to harness that energy within so that we can move forward effectively. And of course, keep in mind that this is a Mercury retrograde, so we just need to take a moment before we speak just to think about what it is we're doing. Just kind of recheck our work. That's what retrograde is. It's going back and double checking the things that we're saying and doing just to make sure the things that we're saying and doing are the things we want to say and do. Got it? Cool. That's it. I'll be back probably tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, have yourselves an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.